Chris Sewell here, baseball card collector, investor, dealer in that order. Welcome everyone. I recently got back an SGC order, and about 2 months ago or so I posted a video about a PSA order I'd done recently, and it was a 12 card order, and it had a Jordan rookie and a Gretzky rookie, and both of them came back altered. I was really disappointed by this. I had no idea why they were altered. I looked them over really closely, could not find anything. Certainly no like marks or recoloring or anything like that. A couple of you mentioned that when cards like this are in screw downs for a long time, sometimes PSA will call them altered because the stock's been pressed a little bit. And I'm sure that's what it is, because they were in screw downs for a long time. But I looked them over and I couldn't find any evidence of that. But apparently that's what was going on. But anyway, I couldn't decide what to do with them after I got them back. I was going to consider resending them to PSA, but I ultimately decided to send them to SGC. So they are in this order that came back today. They're actually the last two cards that you're going to see. So a bit of a tease here, but this was about a 25 card order, something like that. Let's go ahead and check it out. I included the grades that I predicted to get as I opened the package. All right, so we got a 1953. I'm going to use this blocker thing, this little card here as a blocker, so you can't see the next card. A bunch of people have written that I need to do that to add a little more drama to the video. But 1953 Johnston Cookies, Milwaukee Braves, Eddie Matthews. This is 1953. 1954 has the Hank Aaron rookie, but 1953 has the Eddie Matthews. I think Warren Spahn's in here too as well. 4.5, and I was expecting a 4 or a 5, so that one is exactly what I was expecting. Not a big money card, but probably approaching $100 or so in that grade. I know there's a couple of vintage cricket cards here. This is something I'm more just trying more than anything else. Here's a Don Bradman, and it got a 5.5 from SGC. And nice looking card. I mean, these are from the 30s, so any card from the 30s, you got to assume a 5.5. There's not going to be a lot of them in that high of a grade. So on the Bradman, I was looking for a 5 or 6, so also got exactly what I was looking for. So far, 2 for 2 in terms of predicting what the grades are going to be. Another Don Bradman, and this one gets an SGC 6. The first one was from 1935. This one's from 1936. And I've mentioned Don Bradman before a number of times on the channel. He's basically the Babe Ruth of cricket. And I mean, cricket's a very popular sport worldwide. Certainly more cricket fans than baseball fans worldwide. Obviously, doesn't have the sports card hobby following or even close. But Babe Ruth level athlete from the 1930s, SGC 5s and 6s. I feel like these are good sort of long-term hold cards. Maybe cricket catches on popularity-wise in the card world someday. Maybe not. Who knows? Jack Hobbs, another cricket's all-time great. This is an SGC 4. This one's from 1928. He's not the Babe Ruth, but he's I don't know, Lou Gehrig maybe or something like that. He's an all-time great cricket player. So got these 3 cricket cards. I've been sort of picking up Don Bradman and other vintage great cricket cards, just sort of grading them and putting them away for now, hoping that down the road they'll be worth a lot more. Who knows if that'll work out or not. But enough cricket talk. Here's a Willie Mays 1959 Topps, gets an SGC EX5. And really nice looking card, a little off center left to right there. But SGC, I mean, sort of becoming my go-to for this level of vintage card. I mean, the SGC is $30, PSA is $100. It's not worth sending to PSA at $100. I mean, I guess it probably is, but at an SGC at $30, you send it in and now it's a $300 card in the SGC 5 holder, and that's just good. Good numbers there. Got the 5. You can see I was looking for a 4 or 5, so got on the high end of that scale there. 1980 Topps Star Wars Empire Strikes Back Boba Fett. This was definitely a bust of a grade. Got an 8. Definitely looking for a 9 or a 10 on this. I'm sure losing money big time here in an 8. With the Boba Fett show, being on Disney Plus recently, I figured some Boba Fett cards might fetch some premium prices, but SGC 8's not gonna do it here. You can see I was looking for a 9 or a 9.5. I was probably even really hoping for a 10, but I don't know why this got an 8. It looks like it's off center, top to bottom, probably the most notable issue that I can see from here in the video. Here's another Boba Fett. This is the 1980 Empire Strikes Back sticker. Also gets an 8, and 8's really not what I was looking for on these. I mean, I don't know what the pop count is, and maybe it's really rare in an 8 even, so maybe this can still fetch a premium. But I would guess this is like a $20 card. Won't recover my grading fees. Whereas in like a 9.5, I would guess you could easily get well over 100. So a little disappointing on the 2 Boba Fetts, but I also don't think I looked those over that closely. So. Back to baseball, 1933 Gowdy Joe Cronin. This is a Hall of Famer, and this is his rookie card, and it gets a VG3. And there's actually quite a few pre-war cards in here. And SGC, you'll notice, is really, I use SGC for vintage way more than modern. their vintage prices, fetch pretty strong. You can see I was looking for a 2 or a 3 on the Cronin, so got a 3. Generally, pretty strong on what I've been guessing, except for those 2 Boba Fett's. T206 is a Hal Chase, gets a 4. Hal Chase is not a Hall of Famer, but he was a star. I think he might have. Why is he not in the Hall of Fame? I think there's some reason he's not in the Hall of Fame, like gambling type of thing. I don't know that for sure, but got an SGC 4. It's a strong looking card again. Star from the era, not a Hall of Famer. I was looking for a 3 or a 4, got a 4. So again, other than the Boba Fett's, I've gotten my predicted grade every single time so far. Another T206 is a common, but gets a 5, which would basically that's almost a high grade for a T206. T206 1909 to 1911, and that's the famous set with the Honus Wagner. This is a common, but gets a 5 again. 5 basically as a high grade for this set. Piedmont back, which is the most common back that there is for the T206s. And another T206, and then again another 5. This is another common, but SGC 5, really strong grade for T206s from 1909 to 1911, and this is probably a $150, $200 card in an SGC 5, and raw is probably a $50 card. So add $30 grading fee, and that's a really nice thing to use SGC for. Check out this thing, 1886 Old Judge Thomas Burns. He's a common, but again 1886, so 140-year-old card, gets an SGC Poor 1. It's really the only grade it could have gotten, other than altered, or I guess it could have been not authentic, but I was sure it was an original card. SGC 1. Now how cool is that? 140 years old, and then there you go, 1. That was basically the only thing it could have gotten, other than, like I said, a fake. All right, got some vintage non-sports. Here's a Charlie Chaplin card from 1936. Cigarette card, and I used to love to send this stuff to PSA at $10 a card when they had their $10 bulk service. You buy this kind of card for $5, send it to PSA at $10, and now in a PSA 4 it's worth $50. Just nice thing to do. Obviously can't do that when PSA is $100, but so trying it with SGC a little bit, got a 3.5. That's a little disappointing. I was looking for a 4 or a 5 on there, so probably won't recover grading fee. I have no idea what that's going to sell for, but probably not a lot. Early 1970s card of Rod Stewart. This is a Pop Stars, I think is the name of the set. And this got an SGC 8, near mint 8. And what was I going for on this one? I think an 8 or a 9, so on the low end of the scale there. But, another card. This probably has a super low pop count. I mean, Rod Stewart doesn't have very many cards. This could very well be his first card in existence. So Rod Stewart rookie card, if you will. All right, I think the rest are all vintage baseball, except for the Gretzky and the Jordan at the end. But here's 1973 Topps Mike Schmidt rookie. Gets a very solid X-Mint 6. And this, like I said, this level of stuff, vintage stuff, is just, I'm now sort of gravitating towards SGC with it. I mean, this is probably a $300 card. You can see I was looking for a 5 or a 6 on the Schmidt, got the 6. This is probably a $300 card would be my guess. And at $100 sending it in a PSA, it's very sort of borderline whether it's worth it. Where with SGC at $30, it just kind of makes a lot more financial sense. And here's another example: Yogi Berra, 1954 Topps, probably a couple $100. You don't want to spend $100 in grading fees to get a card that's worth now a couple $100 when it just doesn't quite add up as well. But at $30, it makes a lot more sense. And I got a 4.5. You can see I was looking for a 4 or a 5. So with SGC, there's also just a lot less sort of surprises I'm finding lately. And I've always been a fan of SGC, but I'm gravitating towards them more with vintage in this sort of range. Here's a 1955 Bowman Pee Wee Reese, probably a $100 card. Obviously, you couldn't send this to PSA at a $100 grading fee if it's going to end up being a $100 card after it's in the holder. But at SGC at $30 you can. So it gets a 3.5, and I was looking for a 3 or 4. So I got again, a lot of these just sort of right spot on what I was expecting. Willie McCovey rookie, 1960 Topps, gets a 4.5. Now, if PSA comes back down, to $50 or $30, 4.5, you can see was actually a little under what I was hoping to get. But if they come back down to $50 or $30, or I think they had said they want to get back down to 10. I mean, if they get back down that low, then obviously I'll switch these cards back to PSA, as it'll just make financial sense to send them to PSA. The resale value is there, and if the price is comparable, PSA will be the better option. But For now, with PSA being $100 and SGC being 30, SGC is going to start just going to be getting a lot of this level of cards from me. 1955 Bowman Yogi Berra gets a 5 because he was looking for a 4 or a 5. And a lot of people point to SGC's sort of consistency, and yeah, it's sort of been my experience as well. I mean, I think PSA is more consistent than people give him credit for, but I do think SGC is notably consistent with their grades. Second Joe Cronin card. How many orders do you see with 2 Joe Cronin cards? Again, Hall of Famer from the 30s, a 1934 batter up, Joe Cronin. And these had like these cards you could like, they had like a natural crease and you could fold them and they sort of like popped up and you could stand them up on your table. This got a 3. I was looking for a 3 or a 4. That's a good grade for a batter up card from the 30s. Another Eddie Matthews. So yeah, 2 cards with 2 Joe Cronins and 2 Eddie Matthews in this order. 1953 Topps Eddie Matthews gets an SGC VG3. And that's probably something like maybe like $100 card in an SGC 3 holder, let's say. I was looking for a 3 or a 4. So next up, Hank Aaron, 1964 Topps gets an EX5, solid mid-grade card of Hammer and Hank from the mid 60s, and had a little surface thing there, but I think it actually might have been on the case. You probably can't see it in the video here, but yeah, it was nothing really of note, but. Got a 5, and I was looking for a 4 or a 5. And coming down to the last few cards here, got a couple of Mantles. 1967 Topps Mickey Mantle. This would be his 3rd to last year card, and gets a 2.5. It actually has like a really light surface crease in the bottom left. You probably can't see it in the video, but yeah, it's a really light surface crease and gets a 2.5. I was expecting a 2 or a 3, so got the SGC got that one. Agrees with me on that one. And another Mantle, 1958 Topps All-Star. That one's a little disappointing. Gets a 3.5. It's still probably like a $200 card in a 3.5 holder, but yeah, I think I was looking for a little bit better. I'm not sure why I got a 3.5. It's a little off center. You can see corners aren't perfect, but I was expecting a little better than a 3.5. I had on the sheet a 4 or a 5, so that's one of the ones I got a little lower than I was hoping. All right, so 3 cards left here. We got a 1949 Bowman Early Win. This is a rookie card, Hall of Fame rookie card, and this one I got much better than I was expecting. Got a 2.5. So the card on the front looks pretty sharp. It looks like a solid mid-grade card, but the back actually has some like tape marks yeah, I mean tape residue or not paper loss, but sort of tape residue. And I was expecting this to come back a 1 or maybe a 1.5. I actually think PSA would have given this a 1 or a 1.5 because of that residue, or maybe like a qualifier. But dang it, SGC here giving it a 2.5, so that's definitely good for me. But I was looking for a 1 or a 1.5, as you can see on the sheet. So happy with the grade on the 1949 Bowman Early Win. That's a tough card, Hall of Fame rookie card there. So on to the main event. We got the Gretzky and the Jordan. You can see they're both in holders. So, but SGC has an option to grade a card even if it's just authentic. So in theory, they could be in authentic holders. And just to refresh, I was looking for a 4 or a 5 on the Gretzky, and I was looking really for a 1.5 on the Jordan. The Jordan was heavily creased, but I put 1.5 to 2 on the sheet. But on the Gretzky, 4 or 5, and it gets a 5. Remember, PSA would not grade this. They deemed it altered, and here I resent it to SGC, and it gets a 5. So, that's a big plus in SGC's column. PSA wouldn't even give an explanation as to why they graded it altered. And again, I had to sort of look over it closely, and I couldn't really see anything other than what people told me about the being in a screw down. And again, I didn't even see anything about it having been in a screw down that would have altered the card in any way, but I just knew that it had been in a screw down for a long time. So, that's what I figured it had to be. I literally couldn't come up with any other explanation. So 5 on the Gretzky here, that's, very, very happy with that. That's, a 4-figure card, as opposed to, a couple $100 after it's been deemed altered by PSA. So, like I said, big plus in the SGC column. All right, and the Jordan, like I said, I was looking for a 1.5, or that's what I was expecting, and it gets a 3. And I was actually very surprised by this. I think actually SGC's overgraded the card here, as like I said, you can't see in the video probably, but it's got some significant creasing down along the bottom Definitely creasing, an amount of creasing that I would have thought would bring it below the VG level, but obviously not complaining here in the SGC3 holder. It's going to be, well into the four figures. So very happy with the grade on that. And a lot of you pointed out this on my PSA video, and you're completely right. Like, okay, if PSA deems these two cards as altered, that's fine, but they need to, at a minimum, give an explanation, especially given that at the time I paid $150 each to have those cards graded, and they just deemed them altered with no explanation and no money back at all. So that, I think, is something PSA is going to need to fix for sure. And SGC obviously gets major bonus points for grading these. You can see some of these cards I got a little lower grades than I was expecting. It looks like 5 of them I got a little bit lower than I was expecting, and 2 of them I got higher. But the 2 I got higher were much more significant: the Jordan and the early win. Basically everything else got exactly what I was expecting. So that also sort of bodes well for SGC in terms of their consistency. So. But that's it. Thank you everyone for watching, and let me know if you have any questions about any of this and why I sent any of these in, or any questions you may have. Feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. And hope you enjoyed. See you all again real soon. Thanks everyone.